Parks and Recreation is one of my all-time favorite shows. It's hilarious, the writing is amazing, and personally, I love creator Michael Schur's style of optimistic storytelling. But even this brilliant show has some questionable moments. The 7th and final season of Parks and Rec contains what I consider to be the worst, or at least the weirdest episode of the entire series, the Johnny Karate Super Awesome Musical Explosion Show, which is a mouthful, but I'm pretty sure that's the joke. This particular episode focuses on the endearing man-child Andy as he films the final episode of his children's variety show called the Johnny Karate Super Awesome Musical Explosion Show. And it's bizarre and hollow in a way that deviates from the normally clever satire that I love about this show.
Welcome to the only show that's all about learning, music, animals, fireworks, water skis, and above all, ice cream, pizza, ninjas getting stronger, sharks versus bears, and above all, karate.
Now listen, I don't mind a silly romp. Romps are a staple of the sitcom genre, but silly stories should still be stories, and they kind of forgot to write one. This episode also revealed the subtle storytelling techniques that make characters like Andy so entertaining, and more specifically, what happens when the writers decide not to use them. And we'll definitely discuss all that. I'll give you some quick background on Andy in case you're not a super fan like me who has rewatched this show dozens of times, and then I'll give you an overview of the episode while explaining some of my problems with it. Parks and Recreation is a legendary show, and I would love to tell you that it has no skips on a rewatch, but because of this episode, I can't do that. Hi, I'm T1J.
Follow me.
Parks and Recreation was successful enough that its creators got to choose when it ended. That doesn't always happen. Usually the network just tells you you're canceled without much warning. But since Parks had this luxury, its 7th season functions as a proper send-off for all of its main characters. Each character basically has an episode or two devoted to completing their story. And the episode I want to talk about today is the send-off for the character Andy Dwyer. The entire narrative of Parks and Rec kind of starts with Andy when he falls into the giant pit behind the house of his then girlfriend Anne and breaks his legs. This encourages Anne to visit a town hall meeting to demand the government do something about the pit. And this is how Anne and Andy start to become acquainted with the Parks and Recreation department and eventually become friends with the employees there. Andy's main character trait is that he is really stupid. I'd say he's carved out a very solid spot in the pantheon of iconic brain-dead TV characters.
Leslie, I typed your symptoms into the thing up here, and it says you could have network connectivity problems.
In season 1, he was kind of a lazy jerk and Anne eventually dumps him, but as the show progresses, he becomes one of the most beloved characters on the show due to his sweet and childlike nature.
Oh my gosh, there you are, puppy.
That is a three-legged dog.
His name is Champion, because he's the dog world champion.
He's so genuine and likable that even the sarcastic, pessimistic director's assistant, April, starts to fall for him.
I guess I kind of hate most things, but I never really seem to hate you.
April and Andy become a couple and quickly get married, which kind of freaks out all their friends. But despite this, they probably have the most solid relationship on the show. April and Andy are actually probably my all-time favorite sitcom couple. As one viral Tumblr screenshot put it, it's like if a cat and a dog got married. Hey, that's me. April is a comedic version of the cynical, detached archetype we often see in fiction. Characters who are disillusioned with the superficiality and phoniness of modern society, as Holden Caulfield, the protagonist of The Catcher in the Rye, would say, and as a result use irony and indifference to shield themselves from any kind of sincerity. In order for these types of characters to find that human connection, they usually need to interact with someone who isn't a phony, who is unironically sentimental and enthusiastic about life. For Holden, it was his little sister Phoebe, but for April, it was the lovable moron Andy. Andy wears all of his emotions on his sleeve and mostly lives his life trying to have fun and help his friends. He doesn't care if other people think he's cool, he's just kind of happy to be there. Andy is also a decent musician who dreams of being a rock star. In fact, he kind of has no other ambitions, so he spends most of the series broke and aimless. And when you're broke, you can't be too picky about what gigs you accept.
My terrible nephew Sebastian is having his 6th birthday party this weekend, and the clown they hired has shingles. You think your band could play for an hour?
How much?
$75.
$75,000.
How about 300?
$300,000?
150.
They'll do it.
As you might imagine, Andy is really good with kids since he is basically one himself, so this could be a career move for him. It's just not quite what he imagined.
I mean, I don't know. What does that make me? A kids performer? I'm supposed to be a rock star.
You just had fun in there and made $150. Who cares about what you were supposed to be?
Yeah.
Plus, you have never been sexier to me than when you were singing to those kids just now.
Really? Well, that's weird.
But ultimately, he takes April's advice and creates the persona of the children's entertainer, Johnny Karate.
Excuse me, Mr. Karate?
Mr. Karate.
My son wants you to sing at his birthday party next weekend. Are you available?
He is, but it's actually $250 for short notice. You can call this number and ask for April Karate.
At some point, in some way that is never explained, Johnny Karate gets his own TV show, which brings us to the episode I want to look at. Some people think Parks and Recreation jumped the shark a little bit in its last season, as sitcoms often do, and I'll admit the storytelling is definitely shallower and the whole season has a kind of uncanny vibe. Parks always had an absurdity to it, but that absurdity was consistent with the logic of this weird little town the show takes place in. Season 7, though, feels like a much more self-aware and eye-winky version of that.
Now, peep this. Leslie Knope has been meeting with people to try to sexy up her presentation. So we had this far-out brain tornado.
Good idea.
But ultimately, I still love most of the episodes in the last season. They're still funny and sweet. Plus, Parks has one of the best sitcom finales of all time. However, this final season also contains the Johnny Karate episode, which is unique, but also kind of a flop. The episode has an interesting framing device. It's not about the Johnny Karate show, it is the Johnny Karate show. The normal Parks and Recreation opening credits are even replaced with that of the Johnny Karate show. That's the type of creative license that being on TV for 7 seasons earns you. So Andy is the presenter of this children's show, which honestly does seem like something that could exist in real life. I could totally imagine myself loving this show as a kid. It's got a vibe similar to Pee-wee's Playhouse or Carrot Top's AM Mayhem. Did anybody else watch that? Was it just me?
Now, why don't you kids help me sing the welcome song? Let me just grab my guitar. Someone has stolen my guitar. This seems like a case for Special Agent Burt Macklin.
So I guess in this episode, Johnny Karate has to find his missing guitar. And it's around about this time that you start to wonder if this episode is actually gonna be about anything or if we're just gonna watch Chris Pratt goof off for 22 minutes. I mean, I kind of get what they're going for here. Andy is a very goofy character on the show, so they made a goofy episode to celebrate him. But I feel like you can run into trouble when you try to base a whole episode around a character that pretty much only exists to be stupid. That's why pairing Andy up with April was such a good idea, because Andy's blissful idiocy can bounce off of April's aloof pessimism in an interesting way. So even though they're both basically cartoon characters, they still somehow have relatable stories.
Hey, I love you.
Dude, shut up! That is awesome sauce. Ron, will you please tell me why April is mad at me?
Ron, can you please tell Andy?
All of you, be quiet. Andy, she's mad because you said awesome sauce instead of I love you too.
But in order for April to remain a believable character for 7 seasons, she had to eventually evolve into a person who cares about stuff and loves her friends. They had to give her emotional depth. And many episodes revolve around April confronting her own cynicism and negativity.
You turned me into someone with goals and ambition, which is really the only reason why I'm even thinking about what I really want.
Now, it would be unfair to say that Andy never evolves. He's no longer the inconsiderate boyfriend from season 1, and he does become a little more responsible and serious about his career, but his fundamental place in the narrative of Parks and Recreation as a happy idiot never changes.
He was going through a tough time. He had just broken both legs from falling into a pit.
I was super wasted.
It's a kid show.
Yes, good call,
Kid show.
good call.
Which is fine, by the way. I just think it's hard for a character like that to carry a whole story on their own. Andy is at his best, both comedy-wise and story-wise, when he's bouncing off of other characters. And there's a little bit of that in this episode, but mostly it's just rapid-fire Andy shenanigans.
It's my final show. Don't look glum. In a couple of weeks, I'll be moving to Washington, D.C. It's the capital of the entire world. They have things there like this White House and this mental institution. And my very favorite, the Lincoln Memorial. It's this crazy statue of this giant monster sitting on a chair that represents all of America's enemies. I'll be moving to Washington, D.C. because my wife, April Ludgate Karate Dwyer, has accepted an amazing job there. I'm very proud of her and totally in love.
The Johnny Karate Show apparently features recurring segments starring all of Andy's friends, the characters that we came to love for 7 seasons, which is a bit strange. Like, all of these people have jobs. Do they really have time to be regulars on a TV show? Am I asking more questions than the writers intended me to? Probably, but if I don't, then what's the point of having a YouTube channel? And after about 7 minutes, literally a third of the way through, we finally get a hint about the actual story of this episode.
Well, Johnny, you got over 500 letters from kids who love you asking for you and April to stay.
Oh, babe, did you hear that?
Now, Johnny, you also got one very...
And when I say get a hint, I mean we see April make a face and we're not really sure why. That's literally the extent of the conflict in this episode. April just kind of stands around making frustrated faces. No one notices. She doesn't talk to anyone. We just know there's something up with her. I'm not saying April needs to walk out in front of the camera and announce to the audience why she's sad. And maybe it's obvious to you why she's sad and I was just a dum-dum the first time I saw this. But either way, a character making faces is not a story. It's not a real conflict. It doesn't affect the plot. It doesn't create any challenges for the characters. It's literally just a thing that's kind of happening in the background while Chris Pratt does bits. I understand that this is the silly Andy episode, but that doesn't mean that they can't write a decent story. And it's more frustrating because they're completely ignoring the entire strength of April and Andy as a duo. There are other episodes where April is sad or stressed out and Andy tries to comfort her or misinterprets it and vice versa.
I was supposed to copy all the department files onto a thumb drive and it kept freezing and I got annoyed and I don't know what happened, but all the files are gone. On every computer. They're all gone. Babe, they're all gone.
Okay, calm down. First of all, you did the right thing by hiding under this table. Secondly, your man is here. I'm gonna take care of this for us. I've been playing Xbox for years. I'm really good at fixing it when it freezes. I know exactly what to do. Try it now.
But for some reason in this episode, Andy never even notices that April is having an issue until the whole thing's almost over. And in this case, it's not because he's stupid, it's because the writers decided that he shouldn't. There's even a scene where April comes on stage to surprise Andy with a tribute to his life and career, and she shows no sign of being sad or frustrated. This would be a great moment to create tension or enhance the conflict. I guess the vibe is supposed to be, what if Andy created a TV show? If he did, it probably would be stupid and have no plot. It's not like it's an unfunny episode. The episode has plenty of funny moments.
I don't give a crap, Batman. You work for me. Increase the perimeter.
I guess I just have high expectations for what is usually a very sharply written show. I totally respect the creative framing device. That's cool. Sitcoms try weird stuff like this all the time. But the novelty of the variety show structure is not really enough on its own to make the episode interesting. It's just kind of one note. I must admit though, I do love the fictional commercials that pop up throughout the episode.
Wamapo Casino, slowly taking back our money from white people, 1 quarter at a time.
The all-new Verizon Chipotle Exxon, proud to be one of America's 8 companies.
This is definitely Andy's episode, but it also functions as a tribute to many of the hilarious side characters and references from throughout the show's run, which is pretty cool fan service. I just wish the episode had a plot.
He has brought so much happiness to so many children in southern Indiana that we thought a piece of Johnny Karate should stay here in Pawnee.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Raise it up.
Those cats were fast as lightning.
This is awesome.
What is even happening right now? This feels like a fever dream. Anyway, 17 minutes into a 22-minute episode, Andy finally notices that April is upset.
The most important one. Be nice to someone. And I think I know right now who needs it the most. My wife, April Ludgate Karate Dwyer. Honey, come on out here. Come here. Babe. Hey, babe. Wait. Honey, where are you going? Babe, hey. Hey, come here. April, what's going on?
Every week, this show is an amazing train wreck, and you love doing it, and you're the best host. Like, even better than my all-time favorite host, Tom Snyder, which is crazy. And all those kids love you, and you're doing what you're meant to do. And I can't be the person that makes you lose what you love.
Yeah, but you're what I love. You're the only reason I have any of this. You believed in me, you supported me, you make me happy. Happier than I ever thought I could be. Without you, I wouldn't be anything. You're what keeps me going. You're my Verizon Chipotle Exxon.
And they resolve everything in one short conversation. To be fair, most sitcom conflicts could probably be resolved in one single conversation.
No. A break from us.
What do you mean by a break?
I need time to think, but I will be very upset if you sleep with another woman.
Okay, thank you for explaining it.
And the credits roll as Andy sings a song to the children, and the episode ends with John Cena being dropped into a dunk tank, which is no less random than anything else that happens on this episode. This is the third to last episode of Parks and Recreation, so it's not like the writers had anything left to prove. I'm sure by this point they were starting to divert their energy to their next projects. Chris Pratt had already become an action star by this point, with Guardians of the Galaxy, the best Marvel movie, having already been released, and Jurassic World coming a few months later. As I said before, the last season of Parks and Rec is noticeably inferior to everything that came before it, including the famously scuffed season 1, all things being equal. That's my hot take. But that's just it. All things aren't equal. Season 7 of Parks and Rec did not set out to make groundbreaking television. It was made for audiences to say goodbye to a group of beloved characters. The storylines are cheesy and simplistic, but fans of the show like me didn't care. It was just great to see everybody one last time. But every show has to have a worst episode, even a consistently great show like Parks and Recreation. And for Parks, it's this one. I can't even think of another one that's close. I admire their attempt at trying something unique, but it ended up being a weird acid trip of an episode where nothing really happens. This maybe could have worked as a B plot in another episode with more substance. I never thought I'd say this, but it's just a little too much Andy. Speaking of spending too much time on a passionate argument for why something shouldn't exist, there's a show called Abolish Everything, where comedians present arguments for the abolition of things that annoy them. Jacqueline Uwe, for example, wants to abolish movie trailers, which I honestly totally agree with.
Trailers manipulate you into thinking that beloved actors will be paramount to the movie. I love the Sir Michael Caine. Michael Caine is in Tenet for 5 minutes. The runtime of Tenet is 2 hours and 30 minutes. That is 150 minutes. Now, I did the math, okay? 5 minutes over 150 minutes equals not enough Michael Caine.
After making their case, the presenters have to defend their arguments against the rebuttals of the political establishment trying to preserve the status quo, who in this case felt that maybe Jacqueline wasn't seeing the bigger picture.
I have a question. Do you hate the arts? Because if we put movie trailers in the garbage bin, then do you know how many acoustic bands who do covers of popular songs that are like one piano that's like ding, ding, and then a woman's wistful voice is like storming through the party like my name was El Nino, and then you're like, oh, it's a song I know. There's like a whole cottage industry of those shitty bands, and you're gonna put them all out of work.
It's just a panel of comedians making jokes, but the show's great. It's like a mix of stand-up, improv, debate team, a game show, and a weird TED Talk. It's absolutely hilarious, and it's exclusively on our creator-owned streaming platform, Nebula. It's probably my favorite Nebula original right now, to be honest. Abolish Everything just dropped its second season, so there's plenty of episodes to watch. If you're loving the growing community of independent internet comedy as much as I am, you'll probably recognize and already be fans of a lot of the presenters, which means you'll probably just love this show. But that's just one of the many great original titles available on Nebula. There are plenty of thoughtful, high-quality videos available to watch. One thing I personally appreciate about Nebula is the love the platform shows to video essays, which I think is a very underrated and constantly evolving medium that we're gonna start seeing more on bigger screens in the future. Or maybe I'm just biased. There are a ton of amazing Nebula exclusive video essays, such as 3 Dead Girls I Love, Sarah Zed's touching exploration of how society remembers women throughout history, or Liam Triforce's Legends of Zelda series, a deep dive into some of the individual geniuses that brought the legendary video game franchise to life. Pun intended. You can also watch my videos and the videos of many other creators completely ad-free and earlier than the YouTube release. If you're interested in Abolish Everything, incredible exclusive video essays, or just supporting independent creators like myself, you should subscribe to Nebula. And if you use my link, go.nebula.tv/T1J, I can get you 50% off an annual plan, which comes out to just $30 for a full year of Nebula. So click the link in the description or scan the QR code and go ahead and start watching. Another part of Parks and Recreation that a lot of people kind of hate on is the first season. The show was still trying to find its identity at the time, and a lot of folks accused it of being a ripoff of The Office, especially because of the main protagonist, Leslie, who started off a bit clumsy and inappropriate, very similar to Michael Scott. Many fans even say you should skip the first season if you're trying to get into Parks and Recreation, but I strongly disagree. First of all, it's only 6 episodes, it's not that much, but also because I consider the first season to be Leslie's origin story. It explains how she came to be the character that we all love. I feel so strongly about this, I made a whole video about it a while ago. You can check that out next. Other than that, I want to thank you for watching this video, and remember to be kind to each other because that's the Johnny Karate way. All right, that's the end of the video. Bye-bye.